promise me something. Win or lose.
Oh, I'll always be good, Abu.
Oh, Beta. Good isn't a thing you are.
It's a thing you do.
That's my girl.
It seems to be the best and worst time to launch a game based on Marvel's Avengers. These characters have never been more popular, but it's challenging to accept a new round of faces so soon after a 23-film saga. Games as a service could generate a tempting lifespan for superhero fans and their online friends, but the unique payment structure offered by Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics has been met with a fair amount of confusion and frustration so far. Is its compelling story and flexible combat system enough to support this game's long-term vision?
Our work is going to change the world, George. I know you don't like the pageantry, but it will be worth it.
From the beginning, Avengers is split into two modes. You can get caught up on the story and the campaign, or jump right into multiplayer missions in Avengers Initiative. You're advised to complete the campaign first to avoid spoilers, and while the story is definitely worth your time, its biggest secrets won't be ruined if you want to team up with other people right away. Parts of the campaign are also multiplayer friendly, but like the Initiative's iconic missions, they require you to play with specific characters. Despite the echo of the MCU, the story here feels fresh and fun. The focus is wisely put on the origins of Miss Marvel, aka Kamala Khan, as she fights to reform the Avengers after the team is blamed for a disaster and subsequently disbands. The campaign takes a dozen hours or so, depending on the bonus content you finish, and slowly assembles its heroes at a satisfying pace. You're introduced to this new Marvel universe through Kamala's eyes, and her wonderfully optimistic viewpoint helps fans digest all the information they already know, and highlights the characters and places they might be less familiar with.
Oh, I look so good in this suit. Dashing, sir.
The 6-hero roster is enjoyable, especially when you spend more time with each character's moveset, but the list of villains is surprisingly short. This could be to open up room for new Initiative storylines in the future, but anyone looking for a few big-name cameos or expecting the enemy list of something like Ultimate Alliance 3 will be disappointed. In fact, enemy variety is lacking across all the modes. There are several variations of soldiers and robots, but nothing outside of those two classes so far. Most of the boss fights are simple in execution, and thanks to cloning, they appear in the Initiative storyline again and again. This repetition of maps and scenarios is something Avengers both embraces and tries to disguise. While it revisits a fair amount of content from the campaign, the Initiative mode keeps the narrative rolling well past the end credits. Completing the campaign will likely put your highest level characters somewhere in the teens, but if you focus on getting one character to the experience level cap of 50 through the Initiative's extended line of missions, there's enough to keep you entertained during the grind. Repeated missions are contextualized with added voiceover you hear while loading and completing objectives, and there are a few environments and cutscenes that are reserved for finishing iconic missions, and those focused on one of the game's two main factions. During the endgame, you split your time between the Chimera helicarrier, operated by S.H.I.E.L.D., and the Inhuman Resistance base inside Hank Pym's anthill. Daily quests at both locations help you earn faction XP to pick up better gear or resources to upgrade it. Each character also has their own challenge card, which acts like a season pass, with daily and weekly objectives with their own form of XP rewards. Missions have run times that range from 20 minutes to well over an hour. Some scale to the level of your playable character, while a few require you to level up a specific hero or team up with a more powerful friend. Whether you choose to max out every character or you just want to buff up your offline team for when you tackle missions solo, spending time with heroes always benefits your overall playthrough. Dismantling gear for additional resources, completing faction missions, and acquiring rare outfits can all potentially benefit any character you choose to improve.
Avengers definitely gets to be a grind. Any Destiny or Fortnite player knows well, reusing environments and scenarios that make a big impact in the campaign but become all too familiar after the 6th or 7th run for XP and faction points.
What helps the action feel new and different is the variety of playstyles across the assorted playable characters. At first, the Avengers all feel relatively the same, with light and heavy attacks, 3 powerful abilities, a ranged attack, and some form of platforming assistance or free flight. But digging into their expansive skill tree reveals several opportunities to tweak builds to accommodate different ways to play. Each feels much more unique, and you can easily get a sense of which hero fits you the best. Each Avenger excels at something that you might end up missing when you switch to someone else. Thor and Iron Man can both fly, which is invaluable for quick access to mission objectives and airborne support. Meanwhile, Black Widow has to grapple around, but she can also zip directly to enemies and attack much faster than anyone else. Captain America is a bit slower, but can block damage and reflect it back, and pick off multiple targets at once with his shield. Hulk's size instantly makes him feel different, capable of picking up soldiers and using them as weapons. And Kamala's growth abilities pulverize multiple targets at once with a helpful heal that also mends anyone around her. The areas you fight in get repetitive, but often things are spread across wide spaces that let the action breathe a bit. You can be opening a puzzle lock to get at more gear, and another player could be taking on a giant AIM robot blocks away. It's these outdoor playgrounds that feel like Avengers at its best. Here you can romp around but still come together when it's time to focus on a single objective. Your own powers are fun to use and look at, but often the craziest moments come from seeing a friend as Hulk throw a pile of concrete over your head, or watching Thor take off and survey the landscape far above you. It's this scale that's completely new to multiplayer superhero games.
One of our Resistance allies is close by and could use some help.
The problem is that attempting to team up with others online is a process that hasn't always worked as intended in the 2 weeks since launch. When matches do work, the performance can get affected by too much going on. We've had long bouts of slowdown and a few crashes. Checkpoints are forgiving and most objectives are easy to follow, so these issues never lead to a total loss, but the game definitely struggles to run at times. Patches have improved things from visuals to online connectivity, but some of the weird glitches we saw in the campaign are hard to forget.
The world needs the Avengers now more than ever.
As evidenced by the similarities with the content plan in Avengers compared to similar service games like Division and Destiny, this game is set to improve over the coming months. The initiative quest lines take longer than those in the campaign, but most of the missions are obvious retreads of places you've been and people you've fought. The extra content on the Avengers roadmap will all be free, including the previously announced Kate Bishop, Clint Barton, and the PlayStation exclusive Spider-Man. This is an entertaining start to a property that can hopefully sustain a big cast as time goes on. There is a lot of fun to be had with the heroes available, but you also don't lose anything by waiting until more content is added in the near future. Completing daily and weekly objectives levels up each Avengers challenge card, rewarding you with new skins, emotes, and upgrading resources, and any one of these barriers can be bypassed by spending real money on microtransactions. Without spending more cash, the process of getting daily faction XP can get tiring, and some of the key ingredients for late-level power upgrades are very rare. It doesn't take long to get a character to experience level 50, but beyond that is the overall power level, determined by the gear you have equipped, and the climb from power levels 140 to 150 is very steep. Each character can earn the currency you need without spending real money, just at a much slower rate, so you're encouraged to spend a balanced amount of time with the whole cast. If this forces you to use a character you're not interested in, however, it's just another grind you have to overcome to avoid opening your wallet. With additional patches coming to improve the game's stability, new characters coming to pad out the roster, and harder missions coming to justify your hero's massive power level, it can feel like Avengers' best moments haven't happened yet. The good news is that the gameplay foundation that all these ongoing systems are built on is very strong, making it tempting to fantasize how other characters can be worked into the fight. It's easy to use quick challenges to make small steps each day toward any goals you have in mind, or spend an entire evening with friends conquering an array of missions longer than the campaign that precedes them.
Incoming! On it!
Marvel's Avengers is launching with a few cuts and bruises. It has a charming story and a surprising amount of depth and detail in the massive initiative missions, but trying to experience it all inevitably leads to running through the same types of areas over and over, multiplied by however many Avengers you choose to make time to level up. It might not be as easy to love this crew compared to the cast we've been laughing and crying with for the last 10 years, but the groundwork is here to create a potentially epic-sized superhero fantasy. It just has more work to do to get there. Eager for more Avengers thoughts? Check out our recent episode of Frame Trap for almost 45 minutes of discussion on the game, plus further discussion on other games like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Tell Me Why. All of our videos are made possible by generous viewers just like you. Contribute at patreon.com/easyallies to help us make more. For just $1 a month, you can gain access to weekly updates, spoiler discussions, and exclusive shows.
Close ranks. Flies are nothing. They got backup. We'll keep them busy.